This is a continuation of verse by verse through Daniel. We're in Daniel chapter 11. I want to back in chapter 11 and go to verse 20 again, explain something a little further, what I mentioned in the previous video. Now, Daniel 11 has some prophecies that were fulfilled, say, within 200 or 300 years. I do not plan to look at those prophecies in the near future of the prediction. I have mentioned in the previous video that Brother Robert Breaker and Brother Matt Crane have done a wonderful job on that idea. I'm looking at this more on a doctrinal and then practical. You and I dealing with everyday life, the frustrations that anybody has with governing officials and things like that. In Daniel 11 verse 20, a lot of this will be directly applied to the Antichrist, and here it says he's a raiser of taxes. Now, in a previous video I said that taxation is immoral, and we need to remember that what is commonly called government, here are four different types: lion, bear, leopard, and then a combination of all three. You'll see that in Revelation 13:2. And this typifies government. What is government? Beast of prey. They prey upon people. They believe that your property belongs to them. They believe all of it belongs to them. You are to be their slaves, but yet they don't take all of it because, it's just not good PR. Now, I know some folks blindly follow government. It's amazing to me how Christians just their eyes gloss over when some maybe government official says it's the law. Well, how do you know it's the law? And what is a law? And we often need to look at, as far as governing officials, as beasts of prey. In England, in the United Kingdom, they have someone called the royal family. And it's kind of funny, the royal family, often their family tree doesn't fork, like hillbillies in the mountains of Kentucky and Tennessee. But they do it for different reasons, where the royal family think you and I are so below them that they don't want to be amongst the commoners. But the royal family are nothing more than welfare recipients. They leech off of the people. What do they do productive for the people? What does government do that's productive for the people? Nothing. If there's anything positive that the government can do, it's not because they've done it on their own accord. It's they've had to steal it from someone else through taxation in order to do it. Government is like this fist. All it can do is protect. The open hand that creates should be left to free people, and they should be allowed to keep the fruits of their labor. The first time the word govern is found in the Bible is with Jezebel. And this is when Ahab was pouting because he wanted Naboth's vineyard. So what did Jezebel do? Oh, dost thou not govern the kingdom of Israel? So what did she do? She murdered him and stole it, and then was judged by Elijah in the next chapter, or Ahab was. Yeah, see, she's a perfect example. What government has to do in order to give money to someone, they have to steal it. Jezebel, in order to give to Ahab, had to steal it from Naboth. Steal it violently. Why? Because that's beast of prey. In Job, this question was asked, shall even he that hateth right govern? Well, yeah, that's the common, ordinary standard as far as that goes. Then we go back to Daniel 11. It says, then shall stand up in his estate a raiser of taxes. Now, I said taxation is immoral. Now, here's a very extensive footnote that I placed in there, and it's not just my opinion. I quoted from many very wise officials in the founding of our country, and then also quoted from a wretched Vladimir Lenin in the Soviet Union. So I'm going to read down through this footnote. It gives us understanding of the abuse and tyranny that we all live under. Now, I'm not saying don't pay taxes. There are many taxes you and I don't have a choice in the matter, but you try to avoid as much as you can. I am saying that if they're violently going to take it, just let them take it, because I would rather be the victim than the perpetrator, and we victims are going to get to rule and reign with Jesus Christ for 1,000 years if you're born again. So it says the purposes of taxation and inflation by the Antichrist will be designed to empower enriched politicians. Now that's then, but it also takes place now. Here's what Amos wrote. You see in verse 10 where he says, "For they know not to do right, saith the Lord, who store up violence and robbery in their palaces." So that's what's also known as taxation. Nehemiah mentioned this, where you talk about Nehemiah and these people had to borrow money to pay their tribute, and Nehemiah was upset, and he really raked them over the coals, and he told those bankers in that day who charged interest or usury that if you don't pay the people back, you return their property to them, and then you restore 20%. And the alternative, if they don't do that, the banking institution don't do that, then they should be arrested and executed. That's what Ezekiel said also. A few years back, maybe 3, 4, 5 years back, I think it was Iceland that booted the bankers out of their country, and their economy recovered very quickly. Of course, the media is very, very quiet about that one. Maybe you do a little research on Iceland and how all mortgages were just written off, as Nehemiah suggests. Now, here's what Chief Justice John Marshall of the Supreme Court of the United States. Now, this is an early case where you got 17 U.S. 16. This is the book number. That's the page number. He said the power to tax involves the power to destroy. That's absolutely true. Now, here's the other side of the coin. This is the leech, the parasite, the founder of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union, Vladimir Lenin, confessed the way to destroy the middle class is to crush it between the grindstones of taxation and inflation. So you got somebody who didn't receive the benefit, and then somebody who did receive the benefit. In 1878, Brooks Adams, the grandson of John Quincy Adams, 6th president, he wrote an article titled Abuse of Taxation in the Atlantic, a magazine. He said, all taxation is evil, but heavy taxes indiscriminately levied on everyone, everything, are one of the greatest curses that it can afflict a people. See, this is not just a Baptist preacher, making these statements. These are people who understood liberty. Okay, the observation of Charles de Seconde de Biron, whatever, how you say that. He wrote, in the spirit of laws with regard to tax and spending is that a universal truth is the agents of government will misspend tax monies because governments are often led by miscreants, scoundrels, and villains. All three of those are embodied in a person, somebody named Camelface Harris, and so, and then, many on the Republican side also. But politicians or parasites do not consider that the death of its host means the death of itself also. Okay, Thomas Paine wrote that when a government is just, taxes are few. Yeah, and that's how our country began. He wisely wrote in Common Sense, and this was a very small booklet, a book in the early days that was very motivational to the early colonists. He said, government, even in its best state, is but a necessary evil, in its worst state, an intolerable one. And in most cases, we find it in this one. And then I wrote, taxation deprives people of the rewards for labor and enterprise. It demoralizes people. It results in idleness, oppression, and bitterness toward the tax collectors, rightfully so. This is the verse for that one. Adam Smith he published this in 1776. And he said, there is no art which one government sooner learns from another than to drain money from the pockets of the people. And all taxation is kin to exaction. And I mentioned that last week, and I read some of these verses last week. But a tax to finance offensive wars is designed to enrich the bankers and their wicked accomplices in government. And then Adam Smith delineated unjust taxes to have the following traits, which all of them. Enforcement through a large bureaucracy, discourages enterprise, hard work, and investment, encourages evasion and punishes the evader, puts the productive person through the detestable examinations of the tax collector, oppresses the productive, and rewards the evil informants and the recipients of the tax. Now, taxation on imported goods, foreign travelers, or illegal aliens is a way to support a free republic. And that's basically what the Lord implied here, because he said there in verse 26, then the children are free. And then Lysander Spooner wisely wrote, if taxation without consent is not robbery, then any band of robbers have only to declare themselves a government, and all their robberies are legalized. Taxation is taking property by force. Okay, if you are willing to give somebody your money, you usually get something in exchange, and when a proper exchange has taken place, both parties say thank you. You ever notice that? You buy something in a store, you value the product more than the money, they value the money more than the product, you say thank you, they say thank you. That is a valid exchange. That's a good exchange. That's an exchange within liberty. But a lot of times tax advocates, you ever seen a tax advocate where somebody goes in their community, they think there's some good deed that needs to be financed, and so they go to their local officials, and then they think this should be financed and all this stuff, and then they vote on taxation of everybody in the county who had no choice in the matter. Now, if this tax advocate really is convinced of a good deed, then go pay for yourself, or you go door to door and ask money for it, rather than going to some government official and forcibly taking something from them. The Lord Jesus is going to set up a wonderful kingdom, and a born-again believer that is worthy to serve in the administration are going to be so blessed to see how liberty truly does work. And this is the time. New heavens and new earth. The earth gets born again. And he says, I create Jerusalem a rejoicing and her people a joy. I will rejoice in Jerusalem and joy in my people. The voice of weeping shall no more be heard in her, nor the voice of crying. Now, if this is the millennium here, this would have been the tribulation, filled with weeping. There shall be no more thence an infant of days, nor an old man that hath not filled his days. For the child shall die 100 years old. Man, long life again. The sinner being 100 years old shall be accursed. They shall build houses and inhabit them. They shall plant vineyards and eat the fruit of them. They shall not build and another inhabit. They shall not plant and another eat. Doesn't that sound wonderful? For as the days of a tree are the days of my people, mine elect, that would be Israel, shall long enjoy the work of their hands. They shall not labor in vain, nor bring forth for trouble, for they are the seed of the blessed of the Lord, and their offspring with them. And then this deals with the animals. That's going to be a wonderful time. But until then, we, you and I, all of us will suffer victims of being robbed through taxation forcibly by the powers that be. And so all that takes place. But we're going to get an exchange for your life, or whatever lifespan you have here on earth. And you get to rule and reign with the Lord Jesus for 1,000 years. So a raiser of taxes. Okay, a raiser of taxes. For example, in our county, in our state, in the state of Indiana, we have what's called a property tax. Now, the property tax is illegal, but you really can't fight it. You can't fight it at all. And 70% of the property tax pay for public school education. And I've never had a child in public school. Would not put a child in public school. And so here I've been paying somebody else's way for years. Can't do anything about it. I'm not happy about it. But if I don't, then I won't have this property to live on, to enjoy. And so it's like the mafia. You got to forfeit your money up because they got a bigger gun than I got. And so you got to deal with it. But again, like I said, I'd rather be the victim than the perpetrator. Okay, but in here's a word here I'd like to point out: estate. The word estate is found, there we go, 1, 2, 3, 4 times in Daniel. And I do believe that almost all of you have heard of that word, a common, ordinary word, estate. You know, like somebody's got to sell their estate or something like that. And so here you have it in the beloved King James Bible, then shall stand up in his estate. That's an archaic word, out of date. You know, the King James is so out of date, you still uses the word estate. Look at a New King Jimmy called it place. They called it place, successor, royal splendor, I guess, successor. Look at these. You don't you don't sell your royal successor. You establish an estate. Okay, and that's a King James only word. That's archaic, out of date. A lot of people say the King James is out of date. No, the NIV is out of date. This one's out of date. This is out of date. These are all out of date. The King James still uses the word estate. New King Jimmy don't use the word estate. Okay, but and we got more things to look at on that topic there. So, okay, now we're probably going to get a new territory, and I mentioned here in 22, with the arms of a flood shall they be overthrown. And I mentioned that these rich children, super wealthy children, or political children, second generation, usually are the ones that had a cushy life, you know, born with a silver spoon in their mouth. And they like that luxuries, and so they're willing to they're willing to be violent in order to keep up this luxurious lifestyle, and they don't mind it. They don't lose sleep over it, not at all, none whatsoever. And so this is the Antichrist. In his estate shall stand up a vile person, an evil person. This evil person, this sociopath, this psychopath, he doesn't lose sleep over, you know, taking property of people from the elderly. He doesn't bother him at all. And so this is new territory, I think, 24. He shall enter peaceably. So he's going to be associated with the United Nations, you know, UN, usual nonsense, United Nuts. Even unto the fattest place of the province, he shall do that which his fathers have not done, nor his fathers' fathers. He shall scatter among them the prey and the spoil and riches, yea, and he shall forecast his devices against the strongholds, even for a time. And this time, if you go there to Revelation, you'll see it a tie-in with the tribulation time period. So this is definitely doctrine for the Antichrist. Notice that word forecast. My friend, do you hear that word anymore these days? Do you hear the word forecast? Is the King James Bible so out of date that, oh man, nobody uses the word forecast? No. Nobody hears the word forecast anymore these days, right? He shall forecast his devices. Forecast, you know, like a weather forecast, you know, or anything like that. Have you ever heard that before? Weather forecast, is that kind of a, you know, a new thing, or is that, you know, an archaic word that's only found in the King James Bible? Well, let's see. He will plot. So maybe if you want to find out what the weather is, you got to look at the weather plot. He will plot. He will devise. Oh, the weather deviser. That weather deviser. Man, he sure did predict the wrong day for, you know, raining and all that stuff. And this here, the Bereans, he plots again. And the New King Jimmy, he plunders. Oh, the weather plunderer. Man, if I want to find out the good weather, I'm going to turn on the weather plunderer. And so forth and so on. In New American Standard, fake Bible, plunder, all that stuff. Nope, the King James is far advanced forecast. Isn't that something? I mean, all these new Bibles, they often say the King James is so hard it's out of date. No, they're out of date. They don't use the right wording. It's pathetic. So, Daniel 11:25, he shall stir up his power and his courage against the king of the south with a great army. And the king of the south shall stir up battle with a very great mighty army. Of course, these kings will stay in the back so they don't get shot at. They're like chess pieces, and they use their soldiers as little pawns, and they don't care about the soldiers. They just want to sacrifice as many as they can. That way they don't have to pay them. And it said, but he shall not stand, for they shall forecast devices against him. Well, there's that archaic word again that none of us hear any day. And it says, yea, they that feed of the portion of his meat shall destroy him. Oh, and his army shall overflow, and many shall fall down slain. Boy, sounds like a pretty happy environment, doesn't it? And both these kings' hearts shall do mischief. Mischief. And they shall speak lies at one table. Whoa! Do you know how you know if a king or a politician is lying to you? Yeah, their lips are moving. Now this mischief, that's an amazing word, mischief. They're not going to come right out and say that they're mischievous or they got mischief plans. They're going to pass it off as maybe like the Patriot Act, like George Bush did, the Patriot. Oh, yes, that's so good, the Patriot Act. This entire psalm, doctrinally, is describing the Antichrist. Why standest thou far off, O Lord? Why hidest thou thyself in times of trouble? That's Jacob's trouble. The wicked. 2 Thessalonians 2, the wicked, uppercase W, in his pride doth persecute the poor. Yeah, that's right. His mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud. That's how he gets taxation. Under his tongue is mischief. Yeah, there we go. There's the Antichrist. We got another one like this. Psalm 52. Why boastest thyself in mischief, O mighty man? Mighty man, you can run that to Genesis chapter 6. The mighty men of valor. Fallen angels masquerading to be men. Devils walking around masquerading to be men. That's a Revelation 13 and 17. Those 10 demoniac kings. Yeah, they're going to appear to be men. But, oh boy, they're going to be shapeshifters and all this stuff. So, Psalm 52 is all about the Antichrist or during the Great Tribulation time period. Let's see if we can find some more mischief going on here. Psalm 94:20. Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee? The throne of iniquity, you take that to 2 Thessalonians 2, mystery of iniquity. This is the Antichrist and company. Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by a law? Oh, wow, a law, frameth mischief by a law. Oh, it's a law, and then people's eyes glass over. If it's a law, then I'd be obey it. No, you need to question it. I mean, if you're a sovereign, you should question those things. So the Antichrist shall do mischief, but he'll call it a law. Yeah, that's what he'll do. He'll call it a law. He's going to force it at the hand of a gun. Is that how things work? Now, he won't hold the gun, but he'll have his deputy and his bailiff. They'll make sure they hold the gun. Both these kings' hearts shall do mischief. They shall speak lies at one table, but it shall not prosper, for yet the end shall be at the time appointed. Okay, the end, there you go. The end, oh boy, look at all them references for the end. That is certainly the tribulation. So if we look at this doctrinally, we have foreknowledge of what the Antichrist is going to do, but praise the Lord, I'm not going to be around to be a partaker of it. I'm going to watch it from heaven, that's for sure. Maybe on TV there, Channel 13, they'll let us watch it from heaven. And so then it says, then shall he return into his land with great riches. Plunder, theft. And his heart shall be against the holy covenant. Okay, this would take us back to the agreement the Antichrist has with the world. Daniel 9:27. His heart shall be against the holy covenant, and he shall do exploits and return to his own land. Maybe Edom, maybe Saudi Arabia. Like a Syrian Jew. It's kind of a tough, pin it down. At the time appointed he shall return and come toward the south, and it shall be as the former or as the latter. Okay, south, that'd be down Saudi Arabia. For the ships of Chittim shall come against him. Therefore he shall be grieved and return and have indignation against the holy covenant. So shall he do. He shall even return and have intelligence with them that forsake the holy covenant. Okay, this, if you go to Isaiah 23:1, this might be what is commonly, people are kind of looking into, a thing called Tartaria. Okay, and it might be something about an advanced civilization in the past. I'm not sure. It's kind of hard to pin it down, but this most definitely was an advanced kingdom under Lucifer, under Satan. Tyre, you can run that to Ezekiel 26 to 28. You can see it in the cross references. So this is quite an interesting thing going on here. Maybe Atlantis, maybe Tartaria, or whatnot. So it's associated with the Antichrist. And in here, there's this place that is called a Mart of Nations. I don't know where you're at, but have you ever seen this word mart? Man, the King James is so out of touch. Maybe if you put a K in front of it or a wall in front of it, Walmart, Kmart, Mini Mart, Food Mart, Gas Mart, Smoke Mart, Tire Mart. I don't know. The King James is so out of date. That's just not common these days. Of course, the new Bibles have updated marketplace. Yeah, merchant. Yeah, merchant. Yes, mart. Oh, who does that? I mean, that's so archaic. Marketplace, market. Oh man. Yeah, let's see what the catholics say. Look at there. The feline fanatics are out of date with the King James. Mart. Whoa, ain't that something? Oh, well, that's how things go. But in Daniel 11, where I got sidetracked there with the ships there, and it says, and he shall even return and have intelligence with them that forsake the holy covenant. Man, intelligence, what is that all about? Oh, intelligence, archaic word that is common as the Central Intelligence Agency. See, the word intelligence in this context is only found once in the Bible, and it's connected or associated with the Antichrist. Since the King James is terribly out of date, I'm sure the new Bibles are going to help us out with this. Let's see. Here's the King James. Is have intelligence with them. Phew, what is he talking about? And this intelligence is going to forsake the holy covenant. Whew, I don't know. Let's see the updated with he will return and show favor. So the CFA, the Central Favor Association. Reward, CRF, CRA, Central Reward Association. Pay attention. The CPA, the Central Pay Attention Organization or Association, CIA agency. Agency. The Berean favor, there we go. King James, man, out of date, so out of date. It's just pathetic. Oh, of course, the New King James that just changed the these and thous, they're going to correct it. Yeah, let's see what they did. Regard, the CRA, the Central Regard Agency. There you go, New American Standard Pay Attention, CPAA, Central Pay Attention Agency. Let's see what the feline fanatics happen to do with this one. They happen to jump on the side of the newer Bibles there. They got that and devise the CDA, the Central Devise Agency, or the Central F Agency. Who knows? Like I say, this King James is so out of date. But the only occurrence of this intelligence, the Central Intelligence Agency, is associated with the Antichrist. And of course, in American history, it was signed into being under the Manchurian candidate Harry Truman's administration. And what is the purpose of the Central Intelligence Agency? Is it obviously to protect the national security for the common people? Or is it to keep secret the unlawful actions of evil principalities and rulers of darkness? Like, well, look at there, Ephesians 6:12. 6 plus 12 is 18. Well, look at there. Is it to hide the secret buying and selling of poppy seed in Afghanistan, or maybe fentanyl and cocaine out of the Central America, or maybe George Bush number one, George Herbert Walker Bush, whose granddaddy was in cahoots with Adolf Hitler. Maybe when he was a high official in the CIA and he overlooked the JFK assassination with the mafia, making sure they got the job done. Who knows? I don't know, but I find it kind of fascinating that the only time the word intelligence is found in the Bible is associated with the Antichrist. Ain't that something? And arms shall stand on his part, and they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength. Notice sanctuary, and they shall take away the daily sacrifice. And of course, this is dealing with the time of the end, because the end is the end of Daniel's 70th week. See, yet the end is appointed. And so that's what this is dealing with. The church is going to be gone, has to be gone, because it's not even mentioned. It's between God and Israel. And they shall place the abomination that maketh desolate. The abomination that maketh desolate. What am that? Well, the abomination, it's probably a statue of Baphomet, maybe 666. Maybe CERN will throw in 666 in there. This is the Daniel 8. Now this one I put Revelation 13, the abomination of desolation, where they have human sacrifices. Yeah, they're going to pollute. They're going to pollute the sanctuary. Look at them two passages. Take a look at those. Yeah, that's what that's all about. And such as do wickedly against the covenant shall be corrupted by flatteries. And the people that do know their God shall be strong and do exploits. They're going to have the people, the 144,000 Jewish people are going to have the gift of tongues, the gift of healing. They'll be able to run around the world trying to preach the gospel of the kingdom to every Gentile they could. But in the process, they that understand among the people shall instruct many. Yet they shall fall by the sword, so they're going to be assassinated by the flame. So Revelation 13, lightning, possibly the Antichrist, maybe the CIA and the FBI will shoot down lasers from the clouds like they did in Maui, Hawaii. Man, they got to have a blue tarp and stuff. By captivity, yeah, they're going to be in jail, and by spoil, many days. Many days, you take that 1 Kings 17:1, and it'll be 3.5 years. Now, when they shall fall, they shall be holpen with a little help. So, in Matthew 25, it talks about visiting the children of God, the Israelites in prison. Many shall cleave to them with flatteries. And some of them of understanding shall fall, to try them, to purge. You find that in 1 Peter 1:7, purge them, make them white. You find that in Revelation 6, and that one is the sixth seal judgment. That's human sacrifice. Yeah, they're going to have human trafficking, human sacrifice. Yeah, just like maybe some of the illegal aliens and the gangs coming from Venezuela, and maybe the Harris administration will fly in a bunch of Haitians to Springfield, Ohio, so that the Haitians cook the goose and drink their blood. But no, this is human sacrifice, the sixth seal judgment during the tribulation, even to the time of the end. Oh boy, there we go, the end. The end. I only put one reference there. You go there, man, you can find a bunch of them. It is yet for a time appointed. It's Daniel's 70th week. God's going to finish this business. And the king shall do according to his will. Yeah, that's what they do. He leeches off the people. And he shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every god. Oh, yeah, that's what he's going to do, brag about himself, and shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods, and shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished. This is indignation. You run there, and that'll be the wrath of the Lamb has come, Revelation 6. For that is determined shall be done. And this is determined by the Lord. You'll find that in Daniel 9:24-27. Okay, this Antichrist, neither shall he regard the God of his fathers. So he's going to be part Muslim, part Jew. Nor the desire of women. Now that was a tough one to try to figure it out. Maybe it's like a Muslim where he's got, a bunch of wives and he don't care what they think. Nor the desire of women. Maybe he's bisexual. Maybe he's gender fluid. Maybe he's transgender. Who knows? Maybe he's pumping in hormone shots. That nor desire of women. That's a kind of a weird thing. I put that there, bisexual, sodomite, more Muslim. I mean, man, the choice, you got many choices, and the transgender movement is in full swing. Nor regard any God, for he shall magnify himself above all. But in his estate, there's that out-of-date word that we don't hear anymore, shall he honor the God of forces. Yeah, the God of forces. Like, what is it, Star Wars? The Force be with thee. Yes, the Force be with thee. What do I put in here? The son of perdition would declare himself as the God of forces, who may be able to control the electronic force field and electrical energies necessary for the UFOs, and so forth and so on. The energy of the people may be attained when Satan and strange flesh and angels terrorize, sacrifice, and eat the flesh and blood of their victims, children. But look at all that stuff. Man, this has been going on for quite a while. Adrenochrome and all that stuff. But in his estate shall he honor the God of forces, and a God whom his fathers knew not shall he honor with gold and silver and precious stones and pleasant things. He's not going to honor them with fiat currency. He's going to have gold and silver. He knows what's precious. He knows what's got value. Thus shall he do in the most strongholds with a strange God. Strange God, yes, strange God. You got a strange God, and in Jude 6 and 7, you got strange flesh. And in Hebrews 13:9, he mentions strange doctrines. Strange doctrines, it's about, the shape-shifting, demoniac kings appear to be men. And, you can get into some pretty dark stuff here. Whom he shall acknowledge and increase with glory, and shall cause them to rule over many, and shall divide the land for gain. So, obviously, dividing the land of Israel, where you Muslims take this, you Muslims take that, you Catholics, you take this, and all that stuff. And so we're getting close to the end. Like I say, doctrinally, this is dealing with the Antichrist practically. We can realize that we're going to be harassed and persecuted on this earth, and we're going to lose our wealth and our profit to the powers that be. They're going to take it by violence, but I would rather be the victim than a perpetrator. And if you're a Christian in political office and you're a perpetrator, I would encourage you to, come back to your senses and think about it. And so, divide the land for gain. And at the time of the end, boy, that's the third time I think we've read that. Shall the king of the south push at him? So that's Saudi Arabia. King of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind, with chariots, with horsemen, and with many ships. King of the north, ships, airships. Oh, airplanes, airships, airplanes. Maybe air curvatures. I don't know if it's flying over the curve or it's flying over the plane. Many planes, many ships, and he shall enter into the countries and shall overflow and pass over. He shall enter also into the glorious land, Israel, and many countries shall be overthrown, but these shall escape out of his hand, even Edom and Moab, both Muslim territory, the chief of the children of Ammon, all Muslim territory. He shall stretch forth his hand. This is, I think, the part of the 10 toes, the 10 kingdoms of risen Rome, revised Roman Empire. Not the European kingdoms. I think it's the Roman kingdoms. coming around the 5 North African kingdoms and 5 around Israel. I think it's all around Israel. A lot of times we Westerners, we try to interpret the Bible from a Western viewpoint. No, this is all about Israel. I don't think the United States is having a play in this at all, really, particularly unless they're funding stuff. And it says, he shall stretch forth his hand also upon the countries, and the land of Egypt shall not escape. So there's the North African Roman Empire revised. He shall have power over the treasures of gold and of silver. Yeah, the gold and silver that's probably hidden in the tunnels since World War II, the Vatican and all that stuff. And over all the precious things of Egypt, the paintings, the artistry that the Nazis stashed away in cahoots with the Vatican. And the Libyans and Ethiopians shall be at his steps. Okay, there's 3 of the North Africa Empire. Okay, revised Roman Empire. But tidings out of the east and out of the north shall trouble him. Why? Because it's survival of the fittest. Therefore he shall go forth with great fury to destroy and utterly to make away many. He just rumors. He's just going to kill. And he shall plant the tabernacles of his palace between the seas and the glorious holy mountain. Wow. Yet he shall come to his end, and none shall help him. Now his end, that's Revelation 19:20. He gets fired. The Antichrist gets fired, man, right there. Fired. He's going to be thrown in a fire. And nobody's going to be able to help him. Now, when that happens, let me show you something. And this is what, sometimes we get talk about the shape-shifting and how devils can appear to be man. And that's how they will appear. And a lot of your celebrities, a lot of your famous people, you'd be surprised who they really are. I mean, come on, if Judas Iscariot was called a devil, and the apostles didn't know he was a devil, they thought he was a man, for 3.5 years living with them, don't you think that if they're on television and they could shapeshift or whatever they need to do, they can fool us easily today? That's for certain. And this kind of, when you get talking about this, people kind of, hey, well, come on, it's on TV, it's in Hollywood. The kids have Transformers where they go from machine to man. I mean, the kids are getting geared up for this stuff. And Paul said in 2 Corinthians, dealing with the Antichrist, dealing with the devil, he said, no marvel, for Satan himself transforms himself into an angel of light. It's nothing new about this. I mean, look at the statues around political places. You're going to see demonic creatures in their natural realm. Now, when the devil gets fired, and when he gets fired finally, the 5th time where he gets taken down, yet thou shalt be brought down to hell to the sides of the pit. That'll be Revelation 19. See, look at it. Revelation 20, 19 and 20. And look what people who watch this, what they say. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee, okay, when you're in hell, and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake the kingdoms, that made the world as a wilderness, and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners? Is this the man? Yes, my friend, the Antichrist, the devil, will appear to be a very debonair, charismatic man. But in his natural state, like John the Baptist, and called the scribes and Pharisees vipers. Vipers. Jesus called them vipers too, because they were probably looking at their natural state. Yeah. Pharaoh in Ezekiel 29 was called the red dragon. Red dragon, yeah, reptilian. That's something. Okay, so Daniel 11. This will close out Daniel chapter 11. Let's get back so we can kind of at least look at Daniel chapter 11 there. There we go. Boom, boom. Again, I looked at it practically so you could get a little understanding about everyday frustrations in life, where your money and your wealth is taken, or portions of it, by people who don't deserve it, who have no right to it at all. And so I'd rather be the victim than the perpetrator. So my friend, we got to put up with this in Daniel 11. We got to put up with this in our short lifetime here, but we get 1,000 years to rule and reign with the Lord Jesus Christ. And so, like I said, you could look at this from the immediate or close prophecies with Media Persia and Greece. And that would be a good study. I just have chosen not to do that. I've chosen to look at it practically and also doctrinally. So that's the way I've chosen to use it. And I hope it was a blessing to you. And please, if you have any comments, write some comments below. It doesn't matter, positive, negative, whatever. Anything goes. So may the Lord bless you.